Hi people, greetings, welcome to my Sunday evening live stream. I hope you're all doing well. We will be doing, as per usual, on a Sunday evening. The first hour will be a rerun of my midweek live stream, and I would like to extend my thanks to everyone that joined in on the live chat on that one. I'm just going to check my audio. Any feedback is always appreciated. And I will be starting tonight's new content from about 10:30 p.m. British Summer Time. Yeah, sound. Just checking my sound. Sorry, guys, bear with me. It's audible. Okay, so without further ado, we are going to start playing. I entitled this one "Healthy Until Proven Otherwise." Fairly self-explanatory. Had some interesting comments on that one. Now, tonight's live stream, I will be giving wonderful viewers the opportunity to take the interaction one step further and join as a guest on this stream, and just say hello, say anything you like, in fact. So here is the live stream from midweek. Goes on for about an hour, so yeah, just after 10:30 p.m. I will be back. Hope you enjoy this, and I'll be back with you soon. Right. Okay, I'm pretty much going to start now. I've got 30 seconds left. I have noticed that the live chat box in the top corner is a bit out of sync, so I'm just going to try and straighten that up. Cropping pad. Oh, Breck, I see you're on here. Thanks for joining us. We've got a couple of things to cover. If anyone has any topics they want us to look at mention it in the live chat, now we should have time. I'll be going for 1 hour today. Somebody did share some interesting with me. A couple of people shared some interesting things with me. One was on Twitter, actually, which I'm going to find now. How are you doing, O'Breck, by the way? 24. Is that a reference to anything particular? 24th of the 6th. We will start now by watching or by looking at a newspaper story from The Guardian that someone shared with me. I hope everyone's managed in the last sort of few days all right. Not been getting too down with the continued ridiculousnesses. I am hoping soon that people are just going to stop talking about it. Chance would be a fine thing, I guess. I'm now going to share my screen. As I said, this was shared to me by someone on Twitter, some person called Dan. Okay, according to the Guardian newspaper, how they like to give themselves away with their numbers. A police officer has been convicted of the manslaughter of Dalian Atkinson after firing an electric stun gun into him for 33 seconds. Of course, someone got the stopwatch out with that one, and kicking him twice in the head as he lay on the ground. Horrible story, of course. I do vaguely remember hearing about this. Yeah, thanks to Dan, who shared that to me on Twitter. Ways Mudlark digging up the Thames, greetings. Thank you for joining us and saying hello in the live chat. We got something else to look at as well today. One of them I hope isn't going to censor me too much for talking about it. Of course, everything I present in this live chat is for the purposes of review and education. I'm not stating any of it as gospel fact. We're approaching all this information with an open mind. This is 33 seconds, right? It's difficult at the moment not to see that there's an agenda going out there which is encouraging racial disharmony, I suppose you could say, firing people up with injustice. It's been going on for as long as I remember. I remember back in the 90s, the story in the Los Angeles of Rodney King, which caused what was probably a planned and controlled riot in LA. Dalian Atkinson's family say 5-year wait for trial was unacceptable. Police officer Benjamin Monk convicted of manslaughter, a former footballer during disturbance in 2016. Dalian Atkinson's family told of their relief and continuing pain after a 5-year battle for justice saw a police officer become the first in 35 years to be convicted of manslaughter while on duty. PC Benjamin Monk used excessive force when he fired an electric stun gun into the former professional footballer for 33 seconds, 6 times longer than his standard. Let's see if we can do some maths. What is standard? Half of that, 5 times, would be 15.1 seconds. So that would be 5 times. 3.3 seconds then. I don't know. My maths isn't that good, unfortunately. Just go and look at the live chat. Did you hear that Harry and Meghan refused the Earl of Dumbarton title for Archie because it contains the word dumb? No, I hadn't seen that one, but I think that's brilliant. I'm surprised someone hasn't offered Meghan the Duchess of Transylvania. Of course, I expect they wouldn't decline that because it contains the word trans. The story of the dead footballer's dodges as number 33 all over it. Yeah, definitely. Now, I do believe a lot of footballers out there are, some of them have got to be legitimate, have got to be as presented, but there's certainly, take for example the story of, what's the guy's name, Raheem Sterling, where he had a massive sponsorship deal off of Nike, only to find out that the person he believed was racially abusing him, it turned out that he was just he'd misheard what he said anyway, so he got this massive Nike sponsorship deal for nothing, basically. Right, Monk, yeah, this story, of course, if you read it, how could they fake such a thing? It's not difficult. Monk was called to attend a disturbance in Telford, Shropshire in August 2016 when Atkinson was suffering an acute mental health crisis. His behaviour was erratic and out of character. At the end of the 6-minute clash, Atkinson was kicked with such force that his blood was found in the laces of Monk's police-issued boots, the trial heard. Wow. Horrible story, absolutely. But they do like to depress everyone with this sort of stuff. I'm not going to read too much into it. Almost 5 years after Atkinson died, after the verdict, the family condemned Monk, saying they were sickened by the officer's defence and that he had meted out violence to a man who needed help. I wonder if there's any pictures of the actual police officer. The last successful prosecution of a non-duty police officer for manslaughter was in 1986 following the death of Henry Foley. The retired bus driver from Southport was beaten by Alan Sewer of Merseyside while in police custody. There was a co-accused Mary Ellen Betley Smith. I wonder if there's any pictures of these people. Why not? Oh, there he is. I'm guessing that's the police officer. Atkinson was pronounced dead 17 minutes after the incident on the 15th of August 2016. Vile story. Shortly after 1:30, what do you reckon, 1:33 by any chance? A neighbour called the police because Atkinson was causing a disturbance. I think it's true. There's one or two things happened. Either they've just inserted this, either it's all coincidence and he did happen to fire into him for 33 seconds and they somehow found that out after the case, or they've highlighted it for that very reason. Certainly suspicious, yeah. Also, another regular commenter and viewer of this programme, Maria Ellender, was kind enough to share a link with me. It's something I want to look at. I actually hope it's completely wrong. I'm not sure. First of all, the source for this, right? Apparently we have a leaked email. Right, leak exposes UK plan for a permanent lockdown. Now, of course, I'm not saying any of this stuff is gospel, how truthful it is, but I did think it was maybe worth taking a look at and getting other people's opinions on it. HenryMcCabe.com is the website this comes from. If we have a look at Henry Mccabe, according to everyone's favourite one-click source, Wikipedia, we'll have a look at the leak in a minute. Henry Mccabe is what you get when you cross men's rights activist with paranoid... Oh, sorry, this is Rational Wiki. With conspiracy theorists, Mccabe believes the world is controlled by nefarious judo-masonic satanic commie forces, spearheaded by the Rockefeller Foundation. He believes that the aforementioned concocted feminism so that women wouldn't have children as part of a depopulation efforts. His writings can be found on the notorious website Whale.2, JesusIsSaviour.com, and Alex Jones's Prison Planet. We won't hold that against him. I don't know what this is. Some dare call it conspiracy. This is some of his credits. 2004 US presidential election. I don't know what that means. CDC whistleblower, COVID-19 denialism, Kerry Cassidy, Kurt Cobain murder conspiracy theories, overlords of the UFOs, Princess Diana, stellar metamorphoses, and targeted individuals. For me, this has even at the age of 11, he was on TV. At the age of 11 in 1960, he began to write for a syndicated advice to parent column Ask Henry. At the age of 12, he appeared as a guest on the episode of the TV game show What's My Line? So, how much do we trust what this person says? Just looking at the chat, Breck says, last person to score in a Champions League final, biggest match in domestic football before the virus was Divock Origi. Divock Cave. Interesting. Well spotted there, Breck. You're absolutely right with the anagram on the name, actually. Yeah, of course, that was in that blatantly fixed match between Tottenham and Liverpool. I did actually make a video on that game where you can see, I believe Liverpool scored a penalty in the first half. Defender is in the box, sticking his arm up, literally trying to hit the ball with his arm to get the penalty awarded. Yeah, following that tournament, I think that was the nail in the coffin for me when it comes to watching football. Okay, we're going to read this story. I don't want to be accused of pushing fear porn, because if you read this and believe it, then it certainly doesn't give you much hope for the future. But I wish to read it with an open mind and suggest and get, basically anyone else's take on it. Right, an email allegedly from British epidemiologist and pandemic planner Neil M. Ferguson explains that lockdowns and restrictions in place since last spring were only the first part of the plan. The second phase will see the UK permanently locked down and for much more severe measures, including bracelets, to be put in place starting on July 15th. This is literally a month away, well, less than a month away now. This story came out on June 21st. We will see in the coming weeks how accurate this story is. By CR, I'm not sure who that is. The leaked email. Can we read this? So I'll have a look at that in a minute. Just out of interest, does anyone tuning in know much about this website, particularly Henry Mccabe? Because to be honest, I've heard of some of the things that he was linked with, but this is a Blogspot website, which nothing against that. I actually have a Blogspot website out there myself. A secret memo, a super screwed up by the British criminals, or is it their rightfully stolen blueprint? I had the most interesting email sent to me a short time ago by one of my best supporters and avid fans of this blog. I read the material he sent, as he said, NTF. I don't know what NTF stands for. This, if legitimate, may finally destroy the entire fraud once and for all. I read the entire article and I knew right away it belonged here to everyone to access for themselves. So without further ado, I want to present the following report that comes courtesy of the State of the Nation website, titled, Is This Secret Memo a Screwed Up by the British Criminals, or is it rightfully stolen blueprint? This may indeed be one of the pieces that destroy the fraud, if it does pan out and prove to be legitimate. Here is the article right here where everyone can read it for themselves. I've not actually seen this. We can read it in a minute. I'll go back to the earlier webpage we were looking at, which I think gives you a summary of what this person suggests is going to be happening. Right, after the recent announcement that the UK will keep restrictions in place for at least another month, startling new information has been leaked to the public. The Ferguson email explains that the excuse to the public will be given with an initial spike of cases of the Indian and Nepalese variant, followed by multiple new variants claimed to have originated in the UK. Modelling will be manipulated to show cases increasing as a result of events such as anti-lockdown protests and football matches, as well as people travelling to seaside resorts and various tourist attractions. All that is required is continued cooperation between the government and the media, and the majority of Brits will keep doing as they are told. The result will be the end of anything resembling freedom. I do actually believe we will go into another lockdown. I mean, I really hope we don't, but I think that is the way it's going to go. And I do agree that they will be blaming people going on holiday, they'll be blaming the football matches, and they'll be blaming these protests, one of which we had at the beginning of this week in London. KG, greetings. Caught me early, glad to hear. Mudlark says some sage scientists said that we have to wear masks forever. To be honest, Mudlark, I think it will go that way. I think it will be a bit like now if you go to China, I believe it's China or Japan, where they've had these, where they've reported that like nuclear power plants have exploded and people were suggested they wear masks, and it's just kind of stuck with people. And I think that's what will happen here. It won't be something we ever get rid of. I don't know if it will be something that will be forced upon us like it is at the moment. I think it'll just be something expected. We'll be so used to it that, well, I mean, I'm always happy to see people not wearing them. I never wear them myself. That is due to a very valid exemption that I do have. In that I put my faith not in the government or in the NHS. That is my valid exemption. I mean, who in their right mind would trust this vile piece of filth to... Would you put your life in the hands and the advice of him? Not a chance. The guy lies about having a baby. So how can anyone believe a word he says? Right. Let's go back to reading it. Where were we? Yeah, and all that's required is cooperation between the government and the media. Again, I cannot disagree with that, because these people, apparently, Good Morning Britain interviewed, what's that guy's name? The one that, I can't, Nick Hancock or Tony Hancock, I can't remember his name now. Hancock, basically, the one that we apparently listen to for advice on our health. Well, some might be that daft, but I certainly wouldn't. And they end up quite pushing him. There's been quite a lot of I've seen quite a lot of videos now of MPs being sort of questioned about, well, why are you letting footballers and FIFA officials come into the country without quarantine and stuff, while the general public has to follow the rules. And for me, I still believe these interviews, even if they look a bit uncomfortable for the MPs, I still believe these are they're done with the purpose of basically keeping the conversation going. I'm looking forward to a time when people just stop talking about it. People stop going out saying, oh, they're breaking the rules. Who cares? I don't care about rules. Certainly not when they're not rules, they're government advice, but whatever. Right, to enforce this is the Henry Mccabe website. To enforce the new lockdown measures, everyone in the UK will be forced to wear stay-at-home bracelets. They will be operated by 5G technology and will ensure that people do not venture further from home than permitted. The police will no longer need to stop people and check their addresses. It will be electronically monitored. This will be enforced under the threat of fines of up to 50 grand, as well as indefinite detention. The bracelets will become mandatory across the UK as of December 21. And what happens in December 21 in the UK? That is generally the start of flu season. But we will see. Suppression of opposition, censorship. Ferguson voices his concerns that there are a small but increasing vocal minority who are unwilling to go along with these plans. In order to combat this group, he proposes increased online censorship with cooperation of big tech firms, in addition to criminal prosecution of anti-lockdown people, as well as removing children and the elderly from families who refuse the jab, and even removing families from their own properties. Apparently, PM Boris Johnson is planning to crack down on the anti-lockdown movement and deploy the military once the new lockdown measures take effect in July. Policing is to be increased as well. No dissent or non-compliance will be tolerated. Again, sounds absolutely vile, but it's the sort of thing that, well, I just really hope they're wrong. I'll continue reading. I'll have a quick look at Brex left a comment. The Goofy 7 did not wear any masks except on camera. Hypocrites. Yeah, and apparently I didn't even see them doing that. If we look, I think in one of the videos where we saw, I'll have a look for it now. Boris Johnson, baby at G7. There's no social distancing. Again, I think these pictures were all photoshopped, actually. Here we go. We've looked at this before, but all these people supposedly at the G7, and none of them did any of the social distancing, for example. What a freak show baby that is. Anyway, let's not get too off the point. We'll just finish reading this story. It does go on for a little bit, but right, pushing the jab, suppressing treatments. Proven and effective treatments such as HCG and ivermectin have already been suppressed, but the next plan is for the production and sale of regular cold and allergy medications to be prohibited altogether. Other measures remove the elderly, give them midazolam, which is a physician-assisted suicide drug that actually goes along with a bunch of other terrible drugs. Rebrand hay fever, cold and flu as BS3. Remove over-the-counter drugs for the above. Soon the only authorised treatment to combat it will be experimental. And not only are anti-lockdown people singled out for their lack of cooperation with the authorities, but also black people, Asians, and even gays, as they have largely refused it. Anyone who does not think and act as the government orders is seen as a problem. Okay. Sounds pretty nasty. Apologies if we haven't had the screen lined up properly. 2nlit, greetings and welcome to the live chat. 2nlit says they were correct not to, as it's simply advice. Exactly. Now, looking at this story, as I said earlier, it sounds horrible, but something I just read there, kind of, I do not know what this thing is. A suicide drug, but when you look at stories such as, let's see if it's still on there, do not resuscitate. I'm not sure what will come up now if I look for that. I mean, we're already seeing stories like this come out. Oh, do I really have to start a trial just to read this? I don't know. Well, I do. Yeah, I do need to, but the Telegraph just going with people with mental illnesses and learning disabilities given do not resuscitate orders during the pandemic. I mean, how much different is that much of a stretch from, 1 in 3 patients? It's interesting, actually. I do know 2 people that would be considered to have learning difficulties that went into hospital, and both of them died within a matter of 36 hours. Absolutely horrible. Oh, sweet kitten, greetings, welcome back to the live chat. 2nlit says, Midazolam is a USA-approved execution drug. Yeah, I'd heard something about that before. KJ, no jab for me. Rather die on my feet than live on my knees. Yeah, it's very good advice. It's the way we all should be thinking. Although, yeah, I know a lot of people that have gone into it. In fact, we'll be looking at another story shortly about British Airways pilots. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with this one. Again, nothing that's actually come out in the mainstream press, but that's not to say it isn't true. In fact, just give me. I'm just going to mute myself for 2 seconds. Oh, excuse me. Right, I'm back now. Yeah, so when people say like the elderly will be given this midazolam suicide drug, you only have to look at stories which even the mainstream press are covering about do not resuscitate orders to see, that's probably not that far fetched. But again, I wouldn't want to say that this story is correct, and I really hope it isn't. But again, this would tie in with things we've seen: hay fever being rebranded, cold and flus. I mean, we've had pneumonia appeared to get rebranded last year. Seasonal flu suddenly decreased completely, while BS19 numbers shot up. So, right, okay. The last part of this I'm going to read because otherwise, like I said, I'm only doing this live stream for an hour, and if I read this, that will be all we look at. Right, lockdowns will continue post-COVID. Again, I could well believe that happening. Now they've got people in the mindset of accepting it. They could probably demand it anytime they want. Oh, weather's got a bit cold. You've all got to go. I mean, that looks like what we're talking about next. Those expecting a return to normality once it's under control will be profoundly disappointed. The idea of climate lockdowns has already been discussed in the media, but Ferguson goes a step further. According to the email, lockdowns will continue over the next few years for reasons including environmental and water scarcity, food shortages and global finances, mass inflation leading to the implementation of the infamous Kalergi Plan. For those unfamiliar with the Kalergi Plan, the idea is for white Europeans to be replaced through immigration and mixing of the races for a pan-European government to be installed. Right, I'm not aware of any of this, so yeah. Okay. Wouldn't put it past them, of course. Tyranny by consent. The email emphasises the need to maintain the support of the majority of the population, with the ruling class presenting themselves as friends of the people, rather than the corrupt, heartless tyrants they are. Because it is impossible for a small group of people to rule over millions by force alone, we're subjected to constant propaganda from the media and government. Absolutely, we are. Escalating censorship and a variety of financial incentives and penalties. Nobody would be willing to enforce these unlawful rules if they didn't either believe they were doing the right thing or were at risk of losing their high-paying jobs for refusing to follow orders. We could look at I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a link to this in the live chat if anyone wants to read the rest of it themselves, along with the email that they claim it came from. Bear with me. How long is the email, actually? It looks pretty much like this is supposedly the leaked email. Again, I have no idea how truthful any of this is. So, I mean, by all means, read this with an open mind. That would be my suggestion. And again, they claim some of this is going to start happening in July. The implementation of bracelets. So let's wait and see on that one. Right, I'll just share a link to this as well. And we will go on to another interesting story again. Oh, that's nasty, isn't it? Sorry. Okay, I don't know how many of you have heard of the. I want to get that horrible toenail being removed picture off the screen. There we go. British Airways cover up. 4 pilots dead in 1 week, but the airline obfuscates on connection. And this is from, again, noqreport.com. I'm not sure who No Q Report is, but and what even they mean by no Q. But we'll have a look at this story, which again I thought was quite curious. And then after, we will look at Nick Hancock being grilled in a video. And yeah, we'll see why I believe it's a bit suspect. Okay, according to this website, there is an easy way to know when a narrative is being fabricated. One needs only look closely at the wording of statements and oftentimes the subsequent fact checks to see when a cover-up is in process. Such is the case with British Airways and their claims that 4 pilots who died in 1 week are not linked. Now, the story I heard, I don't know, again, this is what I was actually looking for, but I came across this. The story I heard was that the people that insure British Airways flights were refusing to insure any pilots that had the stick, that had applied Vaseline to their cracked lips, but I couldn't find anything that said that. I did see Reuters that this website mentions. Reuters quickly came to their rescue and did a fact check on the claims that are circulating across social media. They, of course, determined that it was false, but just like British Airways' statement, Reuters conspicuously avoided the topic of the jab. First, let's look at the wording of BA's tweet. Sadly, 4 members of our pilot community passed away recently. Our thoughts are with their families and friends. However, there is no truth whatsoever in claims on social media suspecting that the 4 deaths are linked. No mention of the jab or of the BS19. The deaths may not be technically linked at this time, because when it comes to post-adverse reactions, transparency is bad enough in the United States, but even worse in the United Kingdom. They've been particularly opaque about post-vaccination deaths ever since the so-called Delta variant began spreading around the country like wildfire. Scientists have speculated that the new variant not only circumvents the minimal protection offered by the jab, but in some cases seems to be more potent on those that have been vaccinated. I haven't heard that. The Reuters fact check does as fact checks often do. They take the entirety of a story and determine its validity based on a single component. This makes it easy for them to debunk stories that go against the mainstream narrative by isolating one false statement and condemning the entire story as a result. Very true. They do, of course, have a good way of doing that. In this case, they barely skimmed over the claims that all 4 pilots had applied Vaseline, and instead honed in on conspiracy theories spread on social media that British Airways, in an emergency talk with the government to prohibit vaccinated pilots from flying. There's even a recording of the claim made of an anonymous source discussing specifics that clearly make very little sense. But if that's the meat of the Reuters fact check, giving them the ability to disregard the entire story because of this single false component. Again, this is a story that I think we'll have to look out for. My problem with it is, to be honest, wouldn't it be more than just pilots that would be pegging out on the job? Wouldn't we be seeing people in all sorts of work? Dan Sewell, greetings. Matt Hancock, yeah, you're absolutely right. Nick Hancock was that comedian from the 90s, wasn't he? My apologies. Thank you for correcting me. Yes, there was a video of him being grilled on GM, or whatever they call it now, Good Morning Britain. We'll have a look at that in a second, as I do only have like 15 minutes left of this live stream. It will, of course, make up the first part of my Sunday evening live stream. I put this video after it's been on for like, after I finished, I put it on private, and then the way to rewatch it is to see it on Sunday evening. Yes, so anything we look at here, we can, of course, go back to. So, yeah, 4 pilots apparently passed on. Reuters did a fact check that said, oh, it's not true that the BA are in emergency talks with the government, therefore the whole thing must be false. Because, now, I, for one, am certainly not a person that will apply Vaseline to my cracked lips, but I do believe people have the choice to make their own decisions. I do believe you have to approach the subject with and be honest, you know, and have to take an honest approach. And I'll say, all those, you know, in direct contact with me that I know to have applied Vaseline to their cracked lips have been all right. To the, you know, I know some people that were a little bit ill afterwards. I know one person that said he felt like he'd been shot with a bullet when he had his second one, but that could be because they're using untrained volunteers to apply the to issue the Vaseline. It only seems to be high-profile cases where you hear of people dropping dead. That's not to say it's not happening. I mean, I'm sure there are, of course, there's always adverse reactions. But it will, of course, be in the long term where I think it will be more interesting to see the outcome. Right, I'm going to play the video of, yeah, that I watched Nick, who was it? Matt Hancock, thank you. Thank you, Dan, for that. Matt Hancock, GMB. Now, I don't want to get struck with, yeah, Matt Hancock calls out Susanna Reid for untrue claims. This is it. I'm not sure how long the video is. However, if we do watch it, we see what they want us to take away from the video, even though it looks like Matt's getting a grilling by the host, what ultimately comes out of it. Right, I'm not sure how long the video goes on for. It'll probably want us to watch an advert first, but we will share it. Okay, right, this is the video I saw. The clip I saw was longer than 54 seconds, but let's just hear Matt Hancock. And let's see, I mean, I don't know what they're going to say in this bit, but let's see if they finish with the takeaway that I think they will.
I just want to ask about the front of the main news in the Daily Mail this morning, which must be very uncomfortable for you. It's about the fact that Boris Johnson has put off the promise to fix the broken care system. Apparently, Prime Minister was supposed to have a meeting with you and the Chancellor today.
No, this is the wrong one. I will watch it anyway, just out of interest.
To decide whether to finally bring in a cap on sky-high care costs. Why has that meeting been cancelled?
No, this was not the interview that I'd seen. The interview I saw was where they were asking him why footballers were being allowed to basically not have to worry about any of the advice that's going on. However, so I've got to say, I hate this programme. I hate the people on this programme. Even if they appear to be grilling MPs, it's all part of the production, of course. Let's just see.
There could be more freedoms for people who've received 2 coronavirus jabs under plans being considered by the government.
Hang on. This is only, I don't know, this is the 22nd of the 6th. Only just now planning that if you have had your jabs, you might get a bit more freedom. But again, this isn't the thing that we wanted to look at.
The Premier League continued, for instance, the Scottish Football League continued, and it did so by having specific testing regimes and specific rules around it. And I'm assured that the Scotland team...
This is the video, but yeah, basically what they end up... Phil Wright, greetings and welcome to the live chat. We have only got like about 10 minutes left, but I appreciate you tuning in and saying hello. I will be winding down very shortly. But yeah, so I just watched this last little bit about Matt Hancock and what he says, and basically the message he wants us all to take away from it.
Following those rules. So we put that in place for a reason, which is that, you know, this winter was tough enough, even with the football on the telly. And of course we all want to get out of these restrictions. And, you know, ultimately it is the vaccine that is the way out of it. But
there we go. What did he just say? Hang on.
And, you know, ultimately it is the vaccine that is the way out of it.
Yeah, of course it is. No matter how much they appeared to be grilling Matt Hancock, and they were, you know, giving him a pretty hard time about why do the FIFA officials and why do footballers not have to worry about the same advice, although they were talking about it, legislation, rules, whatever, as the rest of us. And of course, it just gives him the opportunity to say, ultimately, the only way out of it is by sticking yourself with an experimental jab. Not for me, thanks very much. Tommy Lynch, greetings, welcome to the live chat. That is a name from the past. Hope you're doing well these days. I am almost out of time for the day. It was, I'm not sure whether there was anything else we were going to cover. Someone mentioned Harry and Meghan turning down a... Let's have a look. Harry declines Dumbarton. Obrecht, Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell removed from the England squad because they hugged Billy Gilmore. Well, that's a cracker. I don't know if any of you how much you guys are following the football. For me, the whole thing is, of course, I believe that the tournament is fixed. I believe all main, you know, big sporting events are probably fixed nowadays. As someone pointed out, who was it? Don't have to go back very far. I think it was Obrecht said the last person to score in a Champions League final, the biggest match in domestic football before the COVID virus, was Divock Origi, which is Divock is an anagram of COVID. So whether that's a coincidence, who knows? Certainly interesting. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry shunned the Dumbarton visit despite being made Earl and Countess. Okay, maybe this isn't quite what... Oh, this is going back to 2019. So that isn't it. Charles to ensure Archie won't be the... Huh, let's go to the news. Dan Sewell says Freemason Mount. Yeah, they love. They certainly love using that word. And Phil Wright says I'll pass on it. My survival rate is 0.002%. Absolutely. Okay, no. Let's see, come on. Here we are. This is the story that I believe it was Breck told us about. How ridiculous. What a joke these couple are. Right. Prince Harry and Meghan turned down Earl of Dumbarton title for son as it had Dum in the name. Is that real? This is RT. So, right. Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, reportedly turned down the title Earl of Dumbarton for their son Archie over fears that he would be mocked for having the word dumb in his name. Is this a bit of a clue that Archie in later years will be considered a bit of a half-wit? I mean, coming from the family that he does. Now, I don't know if any of you were around earlier. I made quite a good, what I consider quite a good joke for me. I said perhaps our Meghan will turn down Countess of Transylvania title because it has the word trans in it, suggesting that, you know, she's a trans. Yeah. Now, if you want more of that style of joke, make sure you tune in on Sunday evening, 9:30 p.m, where I will be following on from this live stream. It will be open lines, meaning I am inviting people to join the live chat, well, to join the live stream, come on and talk about anything you want. Basically, help me out by guest hosting. Let's see what the chat is saying. Oh, Breck, I'm a Chelsea fan, so ever since the 2009 Champions League semi-final against Barcelona, I've had my suspicions. That was the one, of course, where, yeah, all the outcomes, sorry, all the referee decisions were going against Chelsea. I do remember that. And then in the last minute, Barcelona scored. See, for me, I think it goes deeper than that now. I mean, maybe back then, who knows, but if we look back at the 2018-2019 Champions League final, where Liverpool got a penalty against Tottenham, you can clearly see the Tottenham defender. Bear in mind, he's meant to be the smartest, best footballers in the world, and the defender's blatantly waving his hand around, inviting the Liverpool striker to kick the ball against his arm in order to give a penalty. I think it also happened on a very specific moment, like 22 minutes. Anyway, let's just finish reading this story about the dummies. See whether or not they've got right. Okay. The Telegraph cited multiple unnamed sources on Wednesday who claimed that the couple did not want their son to use the title, which is currently being held by Prince Harry, for fear of him being bullied. One of the sources told the newspaper that Duke and Duchess of Sussex didn't like the idea of Archie being called Earl of Dumbarton because it began with the word dumb, and they were worried about how it might look, while another claimed it wasn't just Meghan who was concerned about the title, but also Harry. So presumably Harry, as the Earl of Dumbarton, got a bit of a picking on for having a word dumb in it. Shame there isn't a title or a place. Earl of, I don't know, Earl of Pair of whatever, you know. Angela Tate, Clown Reality. Greetings and welcome to the live chat. Yeah, that is true. They are all actors, and that goes a lot further than just Harry and Meghan being actors. Now, if anyone would like to come back Sunday evening with their thoughts of any new appropriate titles that we could give these people. So my one is, I believe Meghan could be the Countess of Transylvania, because it's got the word trans in it. That would be perfect for her. If you want to come on and share yours on Sunday night from 9:30 UK time, you would all be most welcome. I would love to hear from you. Either leave it in the live chat or come on and join me, as it is an open line session. I will be sharing a link where you can jump on StreamYard and have a chat. That is going to do it pretty much for this evening's live chat. I would like to extend a huge thank you to Angela Tate, Clown Reality, Obrecht, Phil Wright, Dan Sewell are the players in on it. I'll come back to that in a minute. Tommy Lynch, KG, 2N Lit, Sweet Kitten, Mudlark Digging Up the Thames, and I believe that is everyone so far. Did I miss anyone? KG, I think I said you. Yeah, appreciate all of you popping in and saying hello. I hope you can all make it Sunday. Right. Obrecht says, don't necessarily think the players are all in on it. Now, my problem is, I think when they're paid the sorts of money they're paid, if assuming that is all real, I mean, do they really pay these footballers £250,000 a week? Who knows? That could just be another tax dodge. If they tell the tax man, yeah, we've paid him 250,000, meanwhile they're pocketing like a half of it, then, well, I suppose, yeah, who knows? And that's less money that they have to say they're paying tax on. I think when you're paying these people that sort of sums of money, they will, they'll go along with it. If they're told, look, you have to give away a penalty in the 30th minute of this game, and they tell the keeper, you've got to let him score that penalty. Because there was a time actually where you could even see goalkeepers telling players what way they were going to dive and stuff. I've made quite a few videos on the world of fake sport. One of them, oops, where are we? Just go to, some of them are, I'm not sure how long it will take me to find them, but I have covered why I believe sport is scripted. There was a crazy story. I mean, maybe not all of the games, maybe not every game on the pitch is fixed, but there was, I'll tell you what, we're going to play out on this video because I think it's appropriate as we're talking about it. It isn't about, where was it? It was about 2 Arsenal players. Here we are. Arsenal players take part in a fake event. We've also got Antonio Reyes in the fixed final. Football, fabricated racism in football, Raheem Sterling profits. We could watch any of them. Actually, as we talked about racism, perhaps I'll do a playlist. Right, we'll play out watching this video. 2N Lit says, remember the rugby player fake injury? Female doctor appeared on the pitch with fake blood sac to feign injury. Yeah, I remember that one. Oh, I also did one on, do we remember, what's his name? Conor McGregor, where he supposedly went on a rampage and trashed a van, how fake that was. Yeah, I will put together a fake player, fabricated sport playlist if anyone wants to see it. With that, I will extend my sincere thanks to everyone who has tuned in today and taken part. I hope you can make it back Sunday evening. Obrecht, Antonio Griezmann, all 3 children are born on the same day. Well, that's weird, isn't it? And as Dan Sewell quite rightly points out, Serena Williams is a man, as is Venus, no doubt. Phil Wright, have my doubts about Liverpool versus Milan 3-3 in 2005, as I was there in the stadium. That's crazy, Phil. I remember watching that. I used to be a Liverpool fan. It goes back to 1986 when I was a kid. First football game I ever saw. The FA Cup final between Liverpool and Everton. Liverpool won it, so I went on and became a Liverpool fan. Had Everton won it, maybe I would have been an Everton fan, but living in Bath, where the best football team, well, where our football team's like down in the conference, although I did actually see a few England goalkeepers playing at Twerton Park, where Bristol Rovers played, used to play a few games. David James, former Liverpool and England goalkeeper, played there. For Watford when they played Bristol Rovers, and Peter Shilton, former England keeper, was playing for Southampton when they played against Bristol Rovers. And also, I remember there was like 3 England keepers that we saw when we went and watched the football. Anyway, I'm going off subject. Phil Wright, I would really be interested to talk to you about your experience of the Champions League final in 2005. If you're available Sunday evening and you want to come on and join as a guest, you would be most welcome, as would absolutely everyone. Sunday evening, 9:30 p.m. British summertime. I will be sharing a link. That is it for me now. And so, once again, thanks everyone. Breck would love to hear your story as well, Phil, right? Just the last thing I'm going to say, I do remember that Jerzy Dudek, the Liverpool goalkeeper, he was like a one-on-one with, what was that guy? He went to Chelsea. I can't remember his name, but it was an AC Milan striker, considered one of the best in the world, but absolutely flopped when he went to Chelsea. Anyway, he kicked the ball straight at Dudek, who literally just put his thumb up and the ball went over. Really crazy stuff. But Dan Sewell, Man City 2012 winning the league in the last second was crazy stuff again. Football is full of it. Dan says, Sewell says, Shevchenko, you're absolutely correct. That is who it was. Okay, that is me done. As I see, I'm going to play this. Thanks everyone joining in. This video goes on for about 5 minutes. Have a wonderful few days, and I hope to see you all Sunday. Take care, everyone. Hi everyone, hope you are well. Now, I've made videos in the past about fabricated racism in the Premier League and fabricated racism in football. One of the stories I didn't cover was when Raheem Sterling was supposedly racially abused by Chelsea fans. I bring this up now as the Financial Times has returned to the story. Raheem Sterling, the England star who took on the racist. Now you'll see this is an absolutely ridiculous story when you read the reason for it, but first we'll look at the actual clip in which Raheem Sterling was allegedly racially abused. Okay. That is it. Well, this is what came up on social media following that. Loads of stories about this guy clearly, this gentleman, clearly racially abusing Raheem. Okay, and off the back of it, Raheem landed a big sponsorship deal for Nike. That video is up on YouTube actually. I'll show you the comment I left. Oh well, after all that, it turns out Raheem was not being racially abused in this clip. The guy went to court and was found not guilty. All this fuss about nothing. Wonder if Raheem handed back his Nike sponsorship deal after this, which he earned off the back of it. We eventually find halfway through the story that discrimination can be subtle, even abuse can be hard to identify. In March, the Crown Prosecution Service said that there was insufficient evidence to charge the Chelsea fan accused of abusing Sterling. The man argued that he had called Sterling a mank, 4-letter word, not a black one. He apologised anyway, saying that he got carried away. Exactly, there's no proof in that video that that guy was shouting racist abuse. So it turned out, according to the courts, it was a fuss about nothing. Now, like I said in my comment, did Raheem Sterling hand back the massive sponsorship deal that he got on the back of this racial abuse? I'm going to say no, probably not. You can read this story in the Telegraph. Raheem Sterling becomes face of new Nike advert after speaking out on racism. The American sportswear giant Nike has moved swiftly to launch a campaign that positions Raheem Sterling similar to the way it did the former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick. Now, you could make a whole video on the unusualnesses of Colin Kaepernick. Maybe that's one for the future. But we'll stick with Raheem for now. Following the Manchester City man's outspoken analysis of the media's portrayal of young black footballers. This came in the wake of the video we just saw. Why did the Telegraph want to return to this story? Let's just read it. Brighton! ! Raheem Sterling is animated. He is remembering the last time that he was racially abused on a football pitch, or rather, that he thought he was going to be racially abused. Manchester City were sealing the Premier League title away at Brighton. That Premier League title race between Liverpool and City was fixed, by the way. Going back to the story. German midfielder Ike Gundogan had just scored their 4th goal and Sterling was about to join a celebratory melee. This is now Raheem talking. I'm running over and I'm looking at the fans and I can see this guy's going to shout something. I swear to you, you could see the anger on his face. But something changed. Making eye contact with Sterling, the Brighton fan softened. And he just closed his mouth and put his thumb up saying, "Stay Sterling," mimicking the supporter. And I was like, yeah, you'd better not say anything. Now that's a massive assumption on Raheem Sterling's part that whichever fan this was he made eye contact to was going to make a racist comment. Yet it was worthy of writing a news article which goes on a ridiculous amount of time talking a load of nonsense. Well, it brings up about his father being shot. Sterling was born in Jamaica. When he was 2, his father was shot dead. Soon afterwards, his mother Nadine moved to the UK. He then later goes on to say, "I'll never forget waking up at 5 in the morning before school and helping my mum clean the toilets in the hotel at Stonebridge. The only good part about it was that my mum would let us pick anything we wanted from the vending machine when we finished." Now, I think the hotel in Stonebridge should seriously look at its health and safety and child labour laws if it's true that they allowed a young boy to help clean the toilets in their hotel. Right, and that goes on and on and on. He also talks about first time he experienced racism in an incident. He was recognised and headbutted on the way home from school, but he doesn't mention any racism taking part. Yeah, they've made a huge story over Raheem thinking he was about to be racially abused. It's more fabricated. I'm making this video on the morning of the Champions League final tonight. Another event which I think has got to be fixed. We'll see if world-class footballers suddenly forget how to score goals or forget how to save balls or forget how to defend. Football, the really high-profile stuff, I'm not talking necessarily about non-league or this, when it makes it into the papers, always fabricated, always. Yeah, okay, I won't go on too much about this because, as I say, it's a load of nonsense, but if you've got anything to share on the issue, I'd love to hear it. Thank you for watching. Okay, that was the live stream from midweek, and as I've already said, thanks to everyone who tuned in on that one, and thanks also to everyone who's been commenting in the live chat. Good to have a bit of interaction with you guys. Bear with us a sec, we will be sharing the screen. Now, obviously, the title of tonight's episode is Open Line, whereby I open up the StreamYard. I basically share a link to StreamYard, and anyone that wishes to join the show as a guest, come on, say hello, have a little chat, say whatever you want, is welcome. All subjects open, nothing off limits. I may ask anyone that wants to talk about any particularly sensitive subjects to perhaps be careful with their wording. But yeah, other than that, the link is, let me just pop it up on screen. and I'll also put it in the live chat. I'll just talk. Right, what is it? It's tinyurl.com/join2706. 27th of the 6th being today's date, and depending on where you are in the world, of course. But and I'll also put in the chat a link to the actual proper thing. If you don't like tiny URLs, you can just literally click this one. Where are we? I will have a look at the live chat in a minute and say some hellos to join the stream. Okay, I've put a link in the live chat to anyone that wishes to come on and say hello. Didn't get any takers on the last episode, which is fair enough. I know not everyone wants to. When you tune into YouTube, you don't expect to be going on and talking, do you? If you want to do that, you'd go on Skype, I guess, so fair enough. Right, let's have a look through. Oh, hang on. Right, Maria Anninger, greetings. Weather looks crap for the next week here in Essex. Michelle from Oz says you're freezing. You know, living in England, you hear about you guys over in Down Under, as we call it, and you always think it must be all warm and hot, but I did hear your winters are comparable to our summers, so who knows what. CC Jelly, it's raining cats and dogs in the southeast of England this evening. Yeah, we had a pretty overcast, cloudy day here today. It wasn't too bad, and then once it got dark, yeah, the rain started chucking it down. Iman Pudama is in the chat. He shared an interesting website, actually. Where's his comment? I think he may have retracted it. But he did also let us know that well, basically one of my earlier videos in the week was from last week, actually, was talking about the test that the emergency broadcast app that that some people have found popping up on their phone. I haven't seen it on mine yet, but apparently they tested that app across the country last week. I think they're doing one locally in Reading this coming Tuesday. If anyone's in that part of the world, then you can go on and then yeah, your phone may make a loud siren-like noise. Okay, without further ado, like I said, Iman Pudama shared a slightly concerning link in the also who was it came up with it? Let me just find it. Someone KG apparently says, going back to the stream that I did in midweek, we talked about Harry and Meghan declining the offer of Earl of Dumbarton, and yeah, my joke was they also declined the Duchess of Transylvania. KG says they were offered King and Queen of Idaho, but they turned it down because it had the word ho in it, which is perfect. What was the other one? Yeah, Harry, this one, my own. Harry declined the title Earl of Maidstone because it involved the word stone. Now, apparently, back in his teenage years, didn't the press report that he got smoked marijuana or something? I don't know. So yeah, he didn't want to be tied to the word stone, so he ditched that. If you got any better ones than that, then by all means, please share them in the live chat, or even better still, click the link to StreamYard and come on and tell us them yourself. That would be great. Okay, I'm gonna have a look at the link that was shared by Mr. Pudama. It's a bit concerning, actually. Not where are we? Oops, don't want to give away my upcoming topics. Here we are. Right, this is. Let's just make sure everything's lined up properly and I've not cut off the edge of the screen. That doesn't work. Right, hang on. Okay, can everyone read that? Okay, a temporary body storage service. This is on Bidstat. Now, by all accounts, Bidstat is somewhere where the government will place tenders, people that come in and offer their services. Unfortunately, I'm cutting off the edge of the screen, so bear with me a minute, and we'll just get that back up. Sorry, guys, that sort of thing I probably could have arranged earlier. It's the left. Right, hang on. We're getting there. Okay, hopefully you'll now be able to see what that's said properly. Let's have a look. Maria Allender, my phone didn't go off, thank God. No, mine neither, actually. Right, is that any better? If not, why not? Okay, that might be slightly better. Okay, a tender notice by Westminster City Council. It is worth £6 million, goes on for 4 years. Published on the 10th of June. Deadline is the 12th of July. Delivery by the 21st of July. Okay. What they're requesting: temporary body storage services, health and social buildings, local body storage capacity, temporary body storage facilities. Okay. London Borough, structural products, crematoriums and public conveniences, and that toilet. Event of excess death situation. Lovely. Right, description. The authority seeks to procure a framework agreement for a temporary body storage in the event of an excess death situation for the 32 London boroughs and the City of London. The framework agreement will appoint a single provider and will be for a period of 4 years. This will be a contingency contract, only called upon in the event that an excess death situation arises in the future and existing local body storage capacity needs to be augmented. This is a bit of a morbid subject, but worth looking at, because who knows what's going to come up in the future. Someone did mention that apparently, I think we touched on it either last week or in midweek, where someone, where the folks, I've lost it. Yeah, apparently they had hired lots of tents for the Scotland, on cue for the Scotland game. Right. Let's see what they are saying. The overarching aim of this tender, here we are, is to provide a single framework supplier that will be able to provide temporary storage facilities to house deceased in the event of an excess death situation. The deceased will be stored with dignity and respect at locations to be determined based on local London needs at the time, and will require some design elements to accommodate local site conditions and constraints, while being capable of rapid deployment, construction and commissioning to an agreed standard. This framework will be procured by the authority as the Pan-London lead, but all London local authorities may call off against the framework. This will be a contingency cover framework, and as such there is no minimum guarantee of any level of spend or call off under the framework agreement. Now, while that sounds absolutely vile, I have no idea whether this is the same sort of thing. Well, let's have a look at more like this. Perhaps this is something that these people do all the time. Building construction work contracts. Okay. Not quite the same thing, but either way, well spotted, Eman. David says The Handmaid's Tale are the cult copying it. Yeah, that's a strange, it was a book originally, I believe. I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with The Handmaid's Tale. It basically started off with, I've never watched it, but I did look at the plot because someone mentioned the how they all
forced to wear masks and stuff. I believe The Handmaid's Tale involves, isn't it, where like some fundamentalists want to make women like reproductive slaves, that they're basically, yeah, we'll have to have a look at it, but it doesn't sound very nice. But that does basically involve a tyranny, basically, before the world's changed. Is that what we're expecting? Let's seriously hope not. We did look in that week that we did look at the midweek live stream of a leaked email. Someone much earlier on in the show did mention that is basically fake news. Who was that said that? Bear with me. Phil Wright said leaked email is fake news. I really hope so. And actually, I was looking through. Oh, where were we? I was looking through basically the news, and it pretty much sounds like, as we've now got a new health secretary. Where was it? And it sounds like they're saying we're all on course to go back to normal in the next few weeks. Let's hope, hey? I don't want to cover that subject too much. Cases are the highest since February the 5th. Okay, I'm not even going there. I'm not even looking at that. There's more to life than listening to that shit. I'm sure we've all heard about Nick Hancock going. Not Nick Hancock, is it? Matt Hancock, whatever his name is, being resigning. I don't know what the views are of you people. Personally, I think that is a manufactured, fabricated story designed to give us the opinion that no one is immune from the press turning on them. So we'll see. Right. I did want to find the story, but I can't. Never mind. Yeah, I don't believe. I mean, who knows what Matt Hancock? Who knows what went on with him? But personally, I think whenever anything makes it onto the front cover of the Sun, I think we're talking about a controlled story, something they want us to believe. Misha from Oz says, you've been gone into lockdown for 2 weeks in Australia. That doesn't sound good, and let's hope it is just 2 weeks. I remember over here when we were told we were going in lockdown for just 2 weeks. I think it went for about 6 months actually, and to be honest, even now we're still expected to wear masks and whatnot, etc. Michelle also tells us she wrote the book using only ideas that have been used in history, and that must be for The Handmaid's Tale. Interesting. Dan Sewell staged, yeah, agreed. Dan Sewell, she still pushes this should lose your job for breaking restrictions. Yeah, exactly. When you look at half the stories that come out, the feeling I get is that, here we go. Someone has a go at Matt. No doubt it's whether there's a video of it, I don't know, but let's just have a quick look for fun. Whenever you get these stories, it seems to be that they just want people annoyed. Right, we'll have a quick look at this. We will be looking at a few other subjects there. We do have a couple of other things. Someone tweeted me over on Twitter actually about the protests in London. So I'm certainly going to look at that in a second. Right, Sky News presenter Trevor Phillips has challenged the Tory minister over the government's rule for us mentality, saying people are not allowed to attend his daughter's funeral because of the restrictions. Were people not allowed to attend, or did people just decide not to attend? I mean, who knows what would have happened if family turned up to a funeral. I don't know of anyone. Well, I did know of a few. I fortunately don't often have to attend funerals, and God willing, long may that continue to be the case. But I mean, if it was, if I had a family member and I wanted to attend their funeral, I don't know. I think I would go. I wouldn't accept you're not allowed to attend. Who knows? Phillips, who presents the channel's Sunday political show, revealed how hundreds of families and friends were unable to be at the graveside for the burial last month due to the rules that Mr. Hancock himself broke. Mr. Phillips spoke of his own personal loss and the impact, etc., etc. They just want everyone fuming about this, don't they? Okay, we'll go on to another subject. Maria Ellender, I watched RV Truth video about the Miami controlled demolition. Is that a recent one? RV Truth's a wonderful YouTuber who's one of the inspirations for me when I first had my eyes open to just how fake everything in the mainstream media is. RV Truth was someone that went a long way to waking me up. I found one of his videos completely by accident, and yeah, I dismissed it to begin with. I thought, maybe the guy's got a point of what he's saying, but surely it's just coincidence. And then you realise all these news stories seem to be coded, and yeah, the guy makes a lot of great points. Okay, over on Twitter, I was actually looking for a tweet from Random Games, but I came across this one. Anti-lockdown protests, who said, no more marches around London. We need to go to Downing Street in Parliament on July the 19th, starting at 11 a.m. and stay there. If you don't come or do everything you can to promote this protest, then you can't ever moan about restrictions again. Stand for your rights or lose them. Fair enough. I said, I certainly will make my audience aware of the date. I can't guarantee I attend, but we'll see what I can do. Keep up the good work. I have said in the past that, I've been open and said I protest every day and that I don't wear masks, I don't social distance. I visit family when I can, if they're prepared to see me. I basically ignore all of these guidances. That is my daily protest. Do we all need to go to Downing Street in Parliament on July the 19th to make a protest? Well, obviously it's not possible for everyone, but to be honest, it looks like there was one this weekend, and it looks like a massive turnout, and it surely sends a message to those in power, if they're even in Parliament, over the weekend. But yeah, I would say I'll give that guy a retweet. Not that I've got a massive following on Twitter, but yeah, I wish them all the very best. I don't know who anti-lockdown protests are. But they certainly seem passionate. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with these people. I'm guessing they're the people who arrange all the protests. Now, yeah, fair enough. So near the time, the 19th, that is a Monday. Now, personally, Saturdays are never a good day for me. I wouldn't travel to London on a Saturday. I have in the past, but now it's just not a realistic option for me. So that they're doing it on a Monday is a good thing. They're doing it on a day when Parliament is in place. Yeah, it'd be good to see. Let's just go back to the live chat. David, the crisis actress said she heard a deaf Kurgan scream. If this is one of RV Truth's new videos, I'm sure the guy wouldn't mind us watching it at the end to play out this live stream with. Michelle from Oz, you sent a massive message with your votes, but they still aren't listening. Yeah, very true. Right, this coming week, are we aware? It is, right, a wonderful passage in the book of Psalms. Pride comes before destruction. Proverbs 16:18. Actually, talking about Twitter, I did once put a tweet up there. Let's see. Going back miles looking for this. But yeah, this week, I don't know if this is across the world or just in one place. It is apparently Pride Week. Is that right? Was that this weekend or the weekend coming? But as I have stated in the past, oh goodness me, perhaps I tweet more than I realised. There's quite a lot of stuff on here. Oh, that was a picture I took of Cassiopeia, the constellation. Yeah, if you don't follow me on Twitter, this is what you're missing, by the way. Right, hang on. We'll get there eventually. We will get there. Yeah, massive thanks to everyone who has joined the live stream at the moment, especially those commenting in the live chat. By the way, this is a dear family member that we lost just over a year ago. Rascal, we called him. He was, well, we thought he was a stray, but it turned out he was living with a family that lived just, his owner died basically, and he ended up coming down and finding his way to us. We had a couple of years with him. He had very poor health, unfortunately. Yeah, but we made his last couple of years comfortable. Right, where's the picture I shared? Goodness me, it goes back away. I'm pretty sure we're getting close to that. Or maybe not. Right. Goodness me. And there's another one of my cats. Of course, if you're familiar with my channel, you'll know that I've included my cats in quite a lot of my vids. Here we go. Got there in the end. Perhaps I could have had this ready. Pride comes before destruction and an arrogant spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16:18. Why are we mentioning this? Well, of course, apparently Coronation Street, one of the longest running soaps in Britain, I believe actually the longest running soap opera in the world, is going to carry to air first kiss between actors since restrictions halted intimate scenes. And what kind of kiss do you think it is? Coronation Street has shared the moments two cast members filmed the soap's first kissing scene since at least 2020. The ITV soap, like other shows, were forced to halt intimate scenes, including kissing and sex scenes, due to restrictions brought in by the pandemic. That obviously made their promotion of promiscuity and infidelity a lot difficult. We were supposed to just use our imagination as to what was going on. Strict social distancing was implemented on set to allow the show to continue filming safely. Since then, all romantic gestures have been suggestive or cleverly filmed, with no co-stars touching each other and everyone sticking to the 2-meter distance ruling. Of course, there have been exemptions to this, with some cast members having formed bubbles to film closely together. Two guys have a snog on Coronation Street, right in the middle of the Pride Week. The cast members involved, Alia, Yasmin and Jess Rooftop Showdown, formed a bubble for the episode, as did the cast playing Debbie and Kevin Webster, who were locked in the freezer together. But none of the cast members have had kissing scenes or anything else. Instead, loved ones, blah, blah, blah. So, to celebrate, Coronation Street are going to show a couple of guys snogging. Nothing unusual about that these days on television. I will actually also, I mean, you guys probably very familiar with why they use the rainbow flag. Let's see. Emmerdale, another British soap I've made some videos about, are also going there. Inside Emmerdale's first Pride episode with RuPaul's Drag Race star, The Vivian. As any TV star will tell you, fame can sometimes be a bit of a drag, but the cast of Emmerdale got to experience it quite literally as they filmed the soap's first ever Pride episode with RuPaul's Drag Race star, The Vivian. The soap, Anna Nightingale, Kevin, blah blah, were thrilled to share the screen with the drag show winner. Yeah, that must be the highlight of their acting career, I'm sure. Natalie, who plays Amy Wyatt, told how she almost screamed the house down when she found out that Vivian was going to appear in the Yorkshire soap. Bull spit. She said, "My boyfriend and I go mad for watching RuPaul. He was so excited for me. I couldn't believe it when I realised I was going to be in a scene with the Vivian. In fact, I was a bit starstruck when I first saw her." This is basically A, just promoting the whole drag race program, and B, just promoting this vile celebrity. The People was given exclusive, the People as in the magazine or whatever it is, was given exclusive behind the scenes access to Emmerdale, which will make history on Wednesday when the village holds its first Pride event. Kevin, who plays Vicar Charles Anderson, said if the Vivian said she's stunning. Right, an absolute icon. You can almost forget it was work. The day of Pride. I did have a moment when I saw everyone taking photos with her. In the special, Andrea Tate, played by Anna, goes all out at the Pride event to impress her new beau, Vicar Charles, by booking the Vivian. Interesting, they've got a vicar on board with this, who, of course, just like most Church of England vicars, can't get enough of homosexuality. Not that I personally got anything against homosexuals. I believe they themselves are victims. I mean, it's like saying people who smoke and drink alcohol are victims as well. But yeah, monkey see, monkey do, as they say. And television very much, and programs like Emmerdale and Coronation Street set the scene for this sort of thing. Very damaging way of life, unfortunately. I was starstruck. These people are full of it. I know everything about the drag world. I can't imagine how the viewers are not going to love this episode. Ugh, fingers down your throat time. The Vivian, alter ego of Welsh-born drag star James Lee Williams, was the inspiration behind the iconic leopard skin dress worn by Emmerdale's Mandy Dingle at her ill-fated wedding earlier this year. The drag star, who married David Ludford 18 months ago at London's Heaven nightclub, revealed, "Mandy Dingle is my favourite soap character. She's just an absolute icon." Right. Heaven. The rainbow. Those who know their books of Genesis will know will know why the rainbow is an interesting choice for them. The stories of Sodom and Gomorrah, of course, being destroyed. Actually, not just Sodom and Gomorrah, the Great Flood. I would have a look in the live chat. I don't want to be ignoring anyone. Thanks to everyone who does pop in and say hello. Oh, I see we've got someone in the live chat. Apologies if you've been waiting long. I will join you to the stream right now. Bear with me. Sorry, Michelle, if you've been waiting a few minutes. Oh, okay, you're on right now, okay?
Good morning.
Hello, Michelle. Oh, hang on.
Good morning.
Hi, Michelle.
How are you?
I'm not too bad. I apologise for keeping you waiting. I wasn't reading the live chat.
No, that's fine. I was just going along. We really
Yeah.
are living in a dystopian future, though, right now, aren't we?
Yeah, it certainly looks like it.
And Handmaid's Tale, really, I have read the book and I've been watching the series, and although they're into their fourth season, the first series ends where the book ends. So everything that they've done since then, the other three seasons have been what they could imagine. But if you control the women,
Yeah.
then you control the world. And that is why this trans agenda is just being pushed down our throats, because it is diametrically opposed to women's rights.
Okay, yep, that's true. I remember you saying in the past how you felt like your rights being infringed upon.
I don't feel it. It's actually happening in the legislation, and it's
Yeah.
all being done by stealth. And our rights, once women are erased, then they can just do whatever they like, because we traditionally are the ones that do most of the arcing up.
Right. Okay. Now, The Handmaid's Tale, did you say it's all based on historical events as well?
Yeah, everything she used in the book had already been done in the past. So controlling women's fertility, controlling women, taking over what in the book, they the sons of Jacob, which was like a really right-wing super religious cult,
Right.
took guns into the American Congress and shot everyone. And then they declared a state of emergency, a military state of emergency, and took over. Sound familiar?
Right. Yeah, we've well, I don't think exactly that's happened, is it?
Well, it could happen, is basically what
we've
she's
had
saying in the book, is all of these things that she's putting forward, which is something has happened. We don't find out in the book why the entire world has got a reduction in the birth rate, but the entire world in her dystopian book is having trouble with fertility.
Okay.
And so you have women who are fertile then are captured and forced into servitude to produce children for other people.
Okay. And do they reveal why fertility's dropped off, or?
No, they don't. They don't reveal that. She doesn't say that in the book. That's you. So there's an assumption that it could be anything. It could be in the book. They talk about there's nuclear weapons being fired. They have a civil war in America, and they fire nuclear weapons at each other, destroying their own ecology. And the world kind of stays out of it. The Canadians try to help the women that are trying to escape, but she doesn't talk much about what's going on in the rest of the world, other than everyone is having issues with fertility.
Okay. Because that's been a subject in other films. Was it 28 Days Later or 28 Weeks Later? I'm not sure if you've seen that one, have you?
Well, that's about a disease escaping from a lab,
I might be thinking
and
of the wrong
wipes
thing.
everybody out. Yeah. And then there's the Children of Man, which I think you were talking about a few weeks ago. And that is about fertility dropping off in the entire world.
That's right. We did bring it up, didn't we? Yeah.
And so in Britain, they have one woman who becomes pregnant, and she's trying to escape out of Britain. Even Britain, although it's all dystopian, Britain is probably the best place to be, because the rest of the world has gone, if there's no children, there's no future. So everyone goes a little mental, and the rule of law breaks down and everybody behaves badly.
Yeah, you would well imagine, yeah. Absolutely.
There's no children. Yes.
Okay, well, Yeah, I mean, you would recommend the TV show and the book, would you?
Oh, well, I do. Oh, yes, I really would. It's very confronting, particularly the first series, which sticks exactly to the book.
Yeah.
It's incredibly confronting. It's not really entertainment. It's just very thought provoking. The cinematography is magnificent,
Yeah.
and the costuming and the colors that they use in the book. Because the way society is structured in the United States is that the commanders, the military, they wear black,
Yeah.
and the wives of those people wear green or
Okay.
blue, and the handmaids wear red, and everybody else wears a sort of like well, in the book it's a striped color, but in the series it's beige. So
Right.
everyone who's working is beige, and the handmaids wear red cloaks. So how can they? They're seen everywhere they go. They're very, very visible, and
Okay.
everybody knows what they are. Everybody knows that they're fertile.
I see. And what's the relevance of wearing the mask? Is that just for like, um,
Oh,
um,
in the later series, in that is just a flow on from some of the ideas in the book. In Washington, the handmaids take a vow of silence, and they wear a mask so they can't speak. And
okay.
when they take their mask off, they've got a ring through their lips, a metal ring.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and the symbolism there is women should not speak. They should
Right.
not go against what is, and it's all couched in terms of religiousness, but it's absolute totalitarianism.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I keep seeing like clips of it, and it does look interesting. It looks like she originally the main character is part of or seems to be involved in like, and I'm not sure if it was terror attacks. So it looked like there were terror attacks going on and stuff.
Oh
But,
well, yes, she is a divorced woman, so she's counted as a Jezebel, and so
right.
they say her second marriage isn't valid. That's why that she's able to be taken into custody and forced into this baby making.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's a very intense study of what it's like for her and all the other handmaids. They're put into a family,
Yeah.
and they go through ceremonies and everything. And so the commander impregnates the handmaid when she's laying between the legs of his wife to
Okay.
try and give it some sort of, they're trying to make it about religion, but it's all just a farce. I mean,
Yeah.
now they're looking at, in the series, they're looking at having baby making farms, and they have done that before. The Nazis have done that, and some other in some Asian wars they have. Even the Japanese had comfort women and things
Okay.
like that. So they're looking at how we've used different things to oppress one another over history,
Yeah.
and that's the very basis of the book. And that's what we're getting now. I mean, we all thought that social media was going to be so democratic, and
Yeah.
then they've brought out an algorithm, and so you can't, if you say anything the algorithm doesn't like, well, you're out.
Oh yeah. Of course. Apparently, yeah. There's now something on Twitter where they can rate your rate tweets, or I think it might be news stories or something based on how wrong you are and stuff.
Yes,
But I mean, obviously, subjective and at what's right and what's wrong and stuff. So you're right. It's nothing very undemocratic place
it's
on social
absolutely
media.
undemocratic. I mean, when your little uh, YouTube channel here, as soon as it gets too big,
Yeah.
they'll get. We only have the freedom to discuss the things that we're discussing now because there's not very many of us.
Yeah. You're absolutely
And
correct.
if you get too big, then they'll just get rid of you if you're saying the things that they
I
don't
mean,
like.
I did have a live video deleted like literally within a couple of hours of finishing it, and they deleted it. And I think it was because I shared a video of like people's putting magnets on their arms and stuff, which I don't know what the situation is, but obviously it was either that or it was someone else that had on Colleen, who was otherwise known as Some Girls. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her.
Oh yeah, I used to listen to hers a lot.
Yeah, she thinks that she might have said some stuff which was but one way or another, they do still delete my channels, but they don't seem too fussed about taking me off. Although back in 2017 I did have a channel which got deleted, but yeah, this one generally been all right. I have had the odd strike, but they just play out after a short while.
Well, yeah, that's right. So we're currently in lockdown. We went into snap lockdown on Friday at 6 o'clock.
Was that sort of out of the blue, or was it?
Well, there's been a huge increase in cases of the Delta variant.
Yeah.
And they seem to be mainly at Bondi, which is a tourist town.
Okay.
And it just really exploded. It's sort of like a super spreader event, and
right.
they can't seem to control it. So they've put us all into lockdown, which everything's closed except the supermarkets, which is a
Yeah.
bugger because I'm really been going hard at the gym. I'm trying to do a bit of bodybuilding and hoping that maybe I can get into the old folks bodybuilding competition.
Really? Okay. Oh, and they've taken it away, yeah?
Well, it's shut. They're shut for now. And you can only leave the house to go shopping, go to the doctors, care for other people. And it's just, we've got school holidays started this morning. So all of the people that were going away on holidays, that's all finished. And all the other states just shut their doors. Just that's it.
Okay.
So it causes division, not just between ordinary people, but between states. Because Victoria was locked down for months, and we didn't want any Victorians coming to New South Wales. The Queenslanders, it's just the whole thing is about causing social division, not trusting one another.
Now, did you say that your state hadn't been in lockdown before? Is that because
no? We had the entire country had an initial lockdown in March.
Okay, this year or last year?
Last year.
2020.
We had an initial lockdown in March.
Okay, yeah.
And we, very much like America, we have our state. We have states, whereas you're all one country. I mean, I know you have counties and that, but most of your laws all come from Parliament, and then you all have to do as they say. It's a little bit different here. We have different states. So some states made it mandatory for wearing a mask where they could, like on public transport, in shops and things like that. And everybody sort of acquiesced and went along with it. And then it didn't seem to be as bad as the rest of the world. They said a few people popped their clogs, and but then we all started opening up, and it was all going to be wonderful when the lubricant came.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
And the lubricant was going to be the best thing since sliced bread. But then I don't know whether they've stuffed up the rollout or not. I mean, some people say the rollout's been stuffed up. Other people say it's going okay. I mean, it's all, you just don't know who to believe.
No.
Really. And the places that I go, almost everyone has decided to have the lubricant. So that's their choice.
Yeah.
And, the possible side effects of the lubricant don't affect women my age, shall we say. Okay. We're past that part of our lives, so we don't have to worry about the long-term consequences of the lubricant.
Yeah,
which are, you won't find out what they are for a few years.
No, we won't, exactly. I mean, I'm hoping part of me wonders if the whole thing could just be we've all been sold one big placebo, but who knows? And we're all, but yeah, I know that's quite an unlikely situation, but it's the sort of thing I can see the government's doing. Like they supposedly plow all this money into, a really intelligent, groundbreaking or not treatment, only to find out it's just basically tap water they're squirting into us. But who knows?
There's just no way of knowing. I mean,
But
it's really.
Yeah, you're saying it hasn't given you in Australia, the people hadn't been given the freedom they were hoping it was going to, no?
Well, the rollout hasn't been as good as they'd hoped. I mean, there's been those problems with the astrological. The astrological has, lots of bubbles in the blood, which is a problem.
Oh yeah.
And the fizzy one, that's not available everywhere. We don't have a lot of that.
Right.
So, well, we've got 25 million people here, and I mean, you've done what? You've done 3 times as many as that already.
Yeah, I think it's in the 40s, isn't it? Is that what, I'm not actually sure how, but I believe they claim to have given at least 40. The last time I read the numbers, I think it was like 14 million. But that might be wrong. You might have heard otherwise. I'm not sure.
Well, I really don't know. I try. There's no point in watching the news anymore. I mean, it's it's all about dividing us. And I mean, it took me about 3 weeks. I mean, I'm being an old girl. I get myself off to knitting club
Yeah.
for a bit of a day out. Yeah, I'm the youngest at knitting club. And it took me 3 weeks to explain to them how this trans agenda was going to impact their rights.
Yeah.
And because they just don't get it. It all sounds like the new gay, and we should all just be kind, and it's really lovely. And then when I say, well, these people who identify as trans, which are mainly middle-class white males, I mean, really privileged, they already have lots of rights. What they are demanding is entry into female-only spaces. And most of the women, they said, "Oh, well, they're women." I said, "Well, no, they're not. They're men."
No, of course they're not. It takes more than putting on a dress to become a woman, doesn't it?
Well, like this whole Lauren thing in New Zealand. I mean, he's obviously a man.
What is that? Sorry, I'm not familiar with that one.
He's representing New Zealand in their weightlifting.
Oh, yeah, maybe I have actually. Okay.
And I mean, it's going to ruin the Olympics, but more than that, it's going to ruin women's sport. There is no point.
Female?
What?
He's entering in the female class, is he?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And that is just like the dodgiest thing ever, is pretending that a man can become a woman and saying that if you have a certain level of testosterone in your blood, then you're not a male. If it drops below a certain level and you have this much estrogen in your blood, then you're a woman. Well, that is absolutely, totally incorrect. Now, I do have a deep voice for a woman, but I can assure you, I am a woman. Okay. I've given birth to a child. But I've been a woman my entire life. But if I have a blood test, I've got not a drop of estrogen. None.
Okay.
Because I'm postmenopausal. I have no estrogen left, and my testosterone levels are the same as they ever were. It's just that because I have no estrogen, then I'm finding being able to do a bit of bodybuilding probably a little bit easier to put on the muscle than I would have done when I was in my, 40s and 30s. Yeah. So estrogen's got nothing to do with being a woman. You wouldn't mistake me. Nobody mistakes me for a man at the gym because they don't look at my eyes.
Right. Fair enough. Well, I'm sorry they've taken away your contest. I mean your the gym away.
Oh, well, my husband said you can use this time to do a bit of cutting, and which is basically starving yourself so you can lose a bit of weight. I said,
Okay.
all right, it's salads are all around for you. He goes, oh, no, maybe not, maybe not, maybe not.
He doesn't follow your passion for exercise, no?
No, no,
Okay.
no. We're two very, very different people. I mean, he's been vaccinated. It was his choice.
Yeah.
Oops, I said the word shit.
Oh no, that's as long as you don't say anything negative about it, I think, yeah.
Well,
But
it was his choice,
yeah,
and there was no good having a big argument about it. It's his body,
yeah,
and I'm making that point all over the place that women are women, and these are our bodies, and we have the right to say who comes into our spaces and who stays out,
yeah.
and so he has the same right. So I just got over myself and let him get on with it.
Yeah, I'm in the same situation, my those around me that have also, a lot of my family have made the decision to go with it, and like I wouldn't want anyone telling me I have to do something. I'm sure they don't want me telling them the opposite. So yeah, you've got to allow people
It
to.
is it's a really hot potato because
Yeah.
um, it, you just don't know. I mean, I've been I've had all the other childhood jabs that they recommend, and I made sure my son had all the childhood jabs.
Yeah.
He's too old for the MMR, which
Okay.
is the one that sort of brought everyone said causes autism. It kind of does. I don't think it does. I just think it's a bit much for the immune system to have
Right.
such a massive vaccination at one point. But they didn't do that when he was little. They were all separate at separate times, and
Yeah.
there was no measles. You had to get measles. Now you can be you can have
Yeah.
a treatment, a pre-treatment for it. But
Okay. Because the strange one with that is that mumps and rubella, which is German measles, from what I know, aren't particularly harmful to children, are they? I mean, in
they're
fact,
they're
sometimes.
very harmful to pregnant women.
Okay, I see.
They're very harmful to the fetus.
Right,
When I,
gotcha.
when I was working, that was my job. I was worked with disabled children, very severely disabled children and young adults, and to the point where they could not live with their families. They had to live in institutions because they were having constant epileptic fits and
Okay.
in 24-hour care, and you often see them smashing their heads with their fists, and that's the rubella still attacking their brain, even though they're
Okay.
like 13 or 14. It's a very dangerous um, uh, thing to have if you're pregnant because it can ruin the fetus. It's one of the few things that can cross the through the placenta and damage the fetus.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's that. Okay. That does sound, yeah, pretty vile. But from what I remember, like, because I'm pretty sure as a child I did have them all, but from I don't remember them being particularly bad. Mumps was a bit uncomfortable from what I remember. That's the one I do remember being quite horrible. But
That can make you sterile. That can affect your
as
testes. So,
if you get it as an adult, in there, is that right?
well, no, even as a child. I mean, everyone is different. Everyone responds to these things differently. When
Okay.
we had the other of the residents that I used to care for, their mothers had got toxoplasmosis. Now, they're always telling you when you're pregnant, stay away from cats' bums and
Oh
don't go
yeah.
anywhere near the litter tray. And you all thought that was because we were too lazy and too fat to bend down and clean up the litter tray. Oh, no,
No, I have heard that.
toxoplasmosis can pass through the placenta, and all of the people born with the toxoplasmosis damage, they all present in exactly the same way. They all have pigeon toes. They can't walk unaided. Their tongue sticks out all the time like a baby bird, and they're all
Yeah.
blind and usually deaf. So I'm afraid I'm not with you completely with this. All diseases are kind of made up, and there are some viruses that are very deadly, some and really
Yeah,
cause a
I
lot of
wouldn't.
harm.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't doubt that. There are definitely illnesses out there and deadly. It's the spread of them, the cause of them. But yeah, it sounds like you've obviously got a fair bit of knowledge or you seem to
It's
know
what I did for a living when I
what you're
was
talking about. Yeah,
before I retired.
yeah. Okay, yeah. I appreciate you sharing the information.
But I definitely think that I don't know whether it's a conspiracy or whether it. I mean, they say never put down to malice what can be explained by incompetence, but I definitely think that big tech are just silencing us to keep us on their platforms, to push up their stock price, push up the price they can sell the advertising for,
Yeah,
and cause division in society. I
yeah.
really don't. I can't see a worldwide uh, conspiracy. But then I watched Dumpster Fire,
Right.
and they were talking about the Great Reset, and I thought, oh
Okay.
God, that's once you watch these things, some of it sounds so plausible. You think, oh my God.
Yeah, the Great Reset. I'm kind of familiar with. I'm on nodding terms of that. And yeah, that's folk believing that every is it however 100 or so years that it's all kind of reset again for a new generation. Is that vague?
Well,
Is that
what they're saying is that the elites, along with what is it, the World Health Organization and that World Bank, and there's
okay?
another world organization, would like to see. Um, you can see it on their website. Is that you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So they're talking about changing the monetary system. And of course, the first thing you want to do is, if you want to change the monetary system, is get rid of the middle classes. The middle classes own stuff. They own houses and
Yeah,
investment property and whatnot. Working class usually just living from hand to mouth. And the elites own everything else. Well, they want to sort of like scoop out the middle classes and sort of diminish their impact on society.
yeah. One book I have read, it was 1984 by George Orwell, and in that it was the middle classes that were being kept under constant surveillance, and all the
That's
what
right.
are called,
That's
yeah, the pros,
that
the protect,
Winston.
yeah,
It's
they were
not
just
enough
with
for
more.
you to believe. You have to love Big Brother.
Yeah, yeah, that was. Yeah, and again, I think they were basing that on how, apparently, according to the official story, George Orwell was in. He was in. I think he belonged to either the Indian Army or some army, and I think he was basing it on
Burma,
how Burma. That
Burma.
was it.
He was
That's
a
right.
the police,
Yeah,
and he saw. I certainly believe that he saw what it was like, the imperialism of the time,
yeah,
and he knew that if he stayed there, he would just do all of those things and be like that. So he left.
yeah,
While he was there, he had a servant girl that basically sold to him by his parents, and although he didn't have any tests done because it was, very early days, he was pretty sure that he was infertile.
okay,
Uh, so his son is adopted. And yeah, he just went, he just wanted to expose uh, the working, the elites
yeah,
and what they get up to. And so, yeah, that's why he wrote that book. And he really did believe in democratic socialism. He thought that, I mean, his book is against communism,
Yeah.
And but he really did think that the working class would sort of he believed in democracy, not in you know, overthrowing the government, but
Okay.
he did a lot to expose what I mean, a lot of his short stories and his articles. At one point, he went undercover into the working class areas and the bathhouses, and to see the
Yeah.
appalling conditions that people lived in England. I mean, I'm very well aware of that. I was born in England. My
Yeah, it
mum
was
and dad.
Wigan, wasn't it? He wrote about the place in Wigan, yeah?
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Mm.
It's such a long time ago since I read most of his stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he was against communism. I thought that went without saying that communism was really dreadful. But he was
Yeah.
pointing out how the elites can control us. I mean, they had it was some sort of radio, sort of television in
Yeah.
his so it was watching you as well as you watching it, and controlling what you say. Controlling what people say is 50% of controlling what they think. That is why calling these trans men she and her, it's rohypnol. It's putting you to sleep.
Yeah.
And you've gone
Yeah.
through and so it's just a short step from there to,
Yeah.
that's why they're calling everyone bigots and fascists, and like if a woman stands up against transgender rights, she's a bigoted fascist.
Yeah, of course. It's a
That's
massively,
ridiculous.
yeah, it
They're
is frowned
literally
on to have any
saying,
sort of alternative view against that, isn't that?
well, there is no alternative view. There's biological reality,
Yeah.
and everybody knows what that is, or they did until yesterday. And
Yeah.
women have sex-based rights based on the fact that we didn't say every single man in the world is a rapist, every single man in the world is a pedophile. What we said is we don't know who is and who isn't. Based on that, no men in our spaces. So we have
Yeah.
our change rooms, our toilets, we do have some schools, we do have our
Yeah.
mammograms, all of those. There are female only spaces. And
Yeah.
once you start saying that a man can become a woman, then that is a huge lie. We know it's not true, but we
Yeah.
go along with it because we want to be polite. So you want to be polite, you want to throw every woman in the world under the bus so as not to hurt the feelings of some guy who likes to wear a dress.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you
not,
very much, but no. Like I will not give them their pronouns, not even being polite. They're men.
yeah. So, I mean, personally, I don't actually, well, knowingly come across, I don't have a lot, occasionally I meet them, but actually having, mu I don't have a lot of like interaction enough to ever be in the situation where I have to watch the pronouns as far as I'm aware. I mean, do you find yourself in that situation or?
Well, it's not a huge. Well, I live out in semi-rural New South Wales, so there's no transvestites around.
Okay.
Um, but in places like Canada, they've passed legislation there. You can get a $200,000 fine for misgendering someone.
Wow. That's
Now,
incredible.
that says to me that society is not accepting that. Society is not taking that on board. That's absolute coercion. That's
Yeah.
compelled speech.
Yeah. That's people walking on eggshells, isn't it? Careful of, yeah.
Well, you've got exactly the same thing there. You've got your hate speech laws
Yeah.
and misgendering somebody. I mean, although women are still protected in your Equality Act, sex is a protected category in England. that awful Stonewall organisation has captured almost all of the government institutions, and you're putting men in women's prisons. You're sending police out to arrest or threaten with arrest women who say that men can't become women. And yet you've got knife crime. Are all the other crimes solved? Really? Is that what's going on?
It's not exactly priority, is it? Or it shouldn't be.
It isn't. But the thing is, women can't fight this alone. They just need other people to stand up with them. I mean, Kellyanne, Posey Parker, that's her name. She's standing outside the New Zealand embassy yesterday, protesting Lauren. And trans activists just came along and became a problem.
Okay.
And there should have been some men there standing up and saying, no, these are women talking about their rights, because it demeans all of us. It completely disrupts society if we don't stick with the biology. And we're already being brainwashed by everything else. I mean, it's okay for BLM to be out protesting during the lockdown and tearing down statues. But then when a group of women were sort of holding a vigil for a woman who was raped by a policeman, then the police attacked those women. I mean, what's going on? It's all about disrupting society.
Yeah, most definitely.
And they're all good at tearing everything down, but what are they going to replace it with?
Yeah, good question.
Well, that is the question. What are they planning on replacing it with? When it's all said and done, when they've torn down all the statues and torn down all the institutions, and we've all acquiesced. Yes, we're all horrible, bigoted, white supremacists, and we just don't deserve to even draw breath. Then what?
Yeah. It's be interesting to see if we ever get to that point. I mean, it seems to me like very little changes. The same. I mean, the same things sort of that were going on when I was a kid, like Rodney King and stuff, is still, although that's not actually quite what you're on about, but is kind of going on now with it's almost like the same stories just keep playing out time and again, and people kind of and everything just sort of in like a bit of a loop. Do you know what I mean?
Well, in some respects, but things. I mean, you are now out of the European Union. I mean, that was democracy in action.
What,
right? They said,
yeah, okay.
Do you want to stay? Do you want to go? And the majority of people said, no, we want to go. And then the first thing the elite did was turn around and say, oh, no, you're all wrong. You're all wrong and stupid and working class and bigoted and foolish, and we'll have another go. And of course, whether it was wrong or right is not the point. It was put to a democratic vote, and the Leavers, they won.
Yeah. And
I think you need more of that.
The message that came away from that was, this is the sort of thing that happens when we let you people have a say on it.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right. You and who are you people?
Yeah, the masses, basically, isn't it?
Basically, they're just saying you're too stupid and
leave it to
too ill-informed and whatnot. And I'm not having a bar of it.
No,
I mean, the red wall has collapsed. Now, I'm not saying all the traditional Labor voters have suddenly become Tories. They're not. They've voted for the Tories because they just couldn't vote for the Labor Party anymore. Because the Labor Party no longer represents the working class. It represents the elites.
Are you referring to in this country or in?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I remember they went through a huge majority, or surprisingly, considering, like, I remember not too long ago with Tony Blair, where it was like completely opposite.
Or they had something to offer. when there'd been a Tory government for a dog's age, and it was probably time for a change. But
Yeah.
he stayed in too long. That's the problem. They stay in too long.
Yeah.
Or when they do, I mean, then you've got, Donald Trump. I didn't particularly. I thought, good Lord, when
Yeah.
it looked like he was going to win the election. I thought, oh, what's happened with the Americans? What have they
Yeah.
gone mad? But I think they were just sick of the elites.
Yeah.
They were just sick of the people that were already in, running the joint into the ground. I mean, their bridges are falling down, their roads are falling apart, and yet all the people in Washington's huge. It's full to the brim of bureaucrats on enormous wages and with beautiful homes. And how old is Nancy Pelosi? Is she like 150 or something?
Okay.
Why isn't she retired?
Sorry, who is Nancy? I'm not sure who that is.
She's the leader of their Congress. I think she's like 90 or something.
Okay.
I mean, there
Okay.
should be some sort of cutoff date for when people have to retire from public life.
Yeah, you would think so. At some point, they're gonna, become a bit. I remember, was it I think it was Zimbabwe. Do you remember Robert Mugabe?
Oh, God.
And he
Yes.
was still going in power well into his 90s, even though he looked really good for his age, actually. But
Pardon me.
I think he was pretty much being led by his son and whatnot, wasn't he? Or
Oh, well, that's what all of them are.
Yeah.
Like Kim, I can never say his name.
Kim Jong. Yeah.
Or whatever his name is. I mean, his dad was in power for a dog's age, and now he's in power, and he doesn't look like he's all there. Actually, none of them all look like they're all there, really, do they? I mean, Boris can't seem to do his own hair.
Yeah, there's something weird going on there. That's true.
And Biden just doesn't seem to know where he is at any given moment. Our prime minister, when the entire country's on fire, he decides to go to Hawaii for a holiday.
Yeah.
I mean,
is he called Greg something?
Scott Morrison.
Scott Morrison, right? But then you've also got a prime. Is that your prime minister? Yeah. Sorry,
He's our prime minister. Yeah. No, that's all right. Like I said, I'm very interested in British politics because I was born there.
Yeah.
And whatever happens there meanders its way over here. It used to be about 10 years, but because of technology, it's getting here much, much quicker. Okay. So if it comes out of Keir Starmer's mouth in January, it'll be echoed by the Labor Party here in December.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah, they send students over there, or they did when Blair was in power, to learn how to basically use the media and use interest groups and focus groups.
Okay.
To find out what people want. I mean, if you get a letter from any of the political parties here, they've found out the things that you're interested in, and say, they're not this. They don't say this is what we stand for. Vote for us.
Okay.
They have a good old shift around, see what you're interested in, and then say, oh well, this is kind of our policy. They don't make any really good even if they do make promises, they don't keep them.
Yeah.
So I do fear for democracy, but I mean it's certainly the best system there is. It might be SHIT, but it's the best of a bad lot.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and that's I suppose you have. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I personally am sometimes suspicious as to whether the elections are whether they're really counting our votes. Is it all just? I mean, people say they're selected rather than elected. Have you heard that?
Yes.
World leaders are selected rather than elected. But yeah, I mean, even to the point perhaps where people are being manipulated into who to vote for. So
Absolutely. I definitely believe that. I mean, you have a first past the post system. We have
Yeah.
representational counting. So if your vote can be distributed. So if you put the Labor Party first, the Labor Party candidate might not get in, but your second preference might get
Right.
in. So
Mm.
it's so you go down, you put the numbers, from the person you want to win to the person you like the least. And
Uh,
now they're learning how to manipulate that. I mean, there's a guy called Clive Palmer who's a billionaire, and he just pops his head up every election and gets people, promises them the world. They vote for him, and he puts those votes go toward the Liberal Party,
okay.
which is like the Australian Tories, but they're not. They're well, Scott Morrison doesn't have anywhere near as much hair as Boris.
And what is Scott Morrison? Is he I mean, is he like a?
Pentecostal Christian who likes to put film of him out speaking in tongues.
Oh,
And
okay.
I know.
So what party?
God,
That's not a political party, though, is it? Surely.
no, he is a very strong Pentecostal Christian, and so
Okay.
that's yeah. He look, I don't believe he even cares about Christianity. He just uses it as a way
Yeah.
to keep power. But I find that very strange that uh, the leader of a country would be prepared to have video of him at church, worshipping at church and speaking in tongues. I think that is particularly strange.
Yeah. That does sound it. It's not something I've come. Oh no, I haven't seen that footage, but yeah, I'll give it a try. All right.
Well, I'm not sure about speaking in tongues, really.
No, it's uh, well, yeah. I mean, it's not something. Well,
It's not
obviously, it's
very
a.
mainstream, is it?
No, it isn't. From what I mean, biblically speaking, although they mention it in the Bible, obviously, don't they?
They
Like,
do, yeah. Well, there's
and
two. There's the Tower of Babel, whereas when that collapsed and everybody
they
started
confirm.
speaking different languages,
Yeah, they
and
confounded. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
the Holy Spirit can descend on. It was supposed to be the disciples when they were going out, descend on them, so that when they went traveling through the world and they came across people who didn't speak the language they spoke, they could then speak the gospel
in
in
other
their
languages.
language. Yeah.
Yeah. So whether it's
So
yeah, okay.
I know
Yeah,
my Bible as well.
yeah. Glad to hear it. Yeah,
Well, that's who the whore of Babylon is. The whore of Babylon is a man,
right.
castrated priest, and that is how you worship Baal
Yeah.
in Mesopotamia, by paying money to the priest class and having sex with the whore of Babylon.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
how they used to do it back in the day. That's why the Jews were so against it, I think.
Yeah. Although I wouldn't have male temple prostitute mentioned quite often the in some of the earlier books. I mean, is that a reference to any
That's
of
a
them?
reference to the way they worshipped in Mesopotamia. I mean, that
Okay.
religion that is much older than the Jewish religion,
Yeah.
and our Christianity is based on that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's how they used to do things back then. I mean, men wanting to wear women's clothes, men having a castration fetish. That's
Yeah.
as old as time.
Exactly. Yeah. It goes back a long way, doesn't it?
Goes back a long way, and but at no point did they ever say, well, we are actually women and we demand to be treated as such. I
Okay.
mean, at any given time in emperor empirical times in China, there was 1 million eunuchs. If you wanted to get somewhere in civil service in China, you either took the exam or you were castrated, and then you could get somewhere in the palace.
Wow. Okay.
So, like I said, the fetish of castration it's a long history.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what these men are doing. It's a fetish. They are not women. They are autogynephiles or transvestites or just plain old, wanting to have their testicles removed because they just goddamn love it.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Michelle
women
says
don't have fetishes. Only men have fetishes. And men have an absolute encyclopedic plethora of fetishes that they love to indulge in.
Okay.
God bless them.
I would have to take your word on it about it only being a man's thing. So,
Well,
I'll
women like
trust
to
you on
buy a lot of shoes there, Bobby, but we don't have an orgasm when we see them.
that. Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, some men do like their women's footwear, don't they?
Goodness me, look at the time. I've been rabbiting on for about half an hour.
It was worth keeping the lines open for you, Michelle. It's always really interesting to have a chat with you. All right.
All right.
I do appreciate.
Well, that is my axe to grind. This whole transgender agenda. And come on, guys, look into it, find out about it, and stand with women. Stop waving that rainbow flag. Stand with women.
Yeah, you're right. Actually,
stand up for our rights, because it's your wives, your daughters, your sisters, your mothers.
Yeah, that's wonderful advice, and thanks for sharing your insight. Okay.
All right, lovely to speak to you again. Have a lovely week.
Yeah, and yourself. I believe it's the beginning of your Monday now, isn't it?
It is. It's all ironing from now on. I know that's dreary and boring, but for us old menopausal girls, it's the most exciting thing we have.
Especially when they've shut everything else, I guess.
That's exactly right. No more knitting and gym for me.
Oh, well, only 2 weeks, hopefully, yeah?
Well, I won't hold my breath.
Yeah, I remember when they said that over here, and it went on for like 6 months, so let's hope.
All right.
Yeah,
have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thanks ever so much, all right?
Bye.
Cheerio. Yeah, huge, massive thanks to Michelle and absolutely to everyone who's commented in the live chat. Apologies if I've overlooked some of the comments, but I would like to extend big thanks, particularly to Michelle for joining the live stream. Phil Wright, Maria Ellender, KG, David, Bob Mule, greetings. I don't think I said hello to you yet. Let's see, who else have we had? Dan Sewell. Dan Sewell, CC Jelly, Iman Pudama, KG Random Games popped in earlier and said hello. Always appreciate hearing from her. Old Breck, Jossie White. I'm surely I've said Maria Ellender, but if not, also Phil Wright. I believe I've mentioned you. This is why I cut these live streams down to an hour, because after an hour I stopped becoming functional. But yeah, massive thanks to everyone. I will have a quick look at some of the chats. Michelle says you could talk the leg off an iron chair. Well, then this is a great platform for you then, because I was opening the lines up, as I said. I wanted to hear I wanted to interact with my audience. It's great talking in the live chat, but to have an actual proper one-on-one conversation is much better. I will be doing another one of these in a couple of weeks, and I will be back midweek. So yeah, Michelle, you're welcome on here to talk the leg off of an iron chair anytime you like. Particularly with when it's as insightful and as what you share. Okay, it is midnight over here now, so I am gonna wind it down. But yeah, thanks to everyone who tuned in, everyone who left a comment in the live chat, and a particularly big thank you to Michelle for joining the live stream. I'll see you sometime in the week for another hour, and I'll be back next Sunday as well. Might even do a quiz next Sunday. I haven't done one of them for a while. All right, I'm going to end the broadcast now. So have a good one, everyone. Thanks again. Cheerio. Oh, hang on.